Hi, this is Sean. Welcome to Guitar Reference Guide. Super excited about today's lesson. I'm going to be taking you through the jazz classic Autumn Leaves. This is a must-know standard. A couple of things that make this tune great. First thing is that it stays in key. We're going to be playing it today in the key of E minor. A lot of people play it in G minor as well, so that's another good key to explore once you've learned it in this key. There's two main chord progressions for this tune that you hear in countless jazz standards. You have 2, 5, 1, 4 progression, and you also have a minor 2-5 progression. So you're covering both bases, both your minor 2-5 and your major 2-5. A couple of other things about this tune. The tempo is at 140 beats per minute. It has a medium swing feel. And in this lesson, I'm going to be taking you through the head of the song, both in the higher octave and in the lower octave. But the main focus of this lesson will be teaching you how to improvise over this song. Like I said, because it stays in key, this is perfect for someone that's just starting out, that's learning jazz standards, because you're not going to be modulating a lot. First thing we're going to work on is targeting. Targeting your root notes. Once you learn the E minor scale, being able to target those root notes in time as the chords are moving. So that will be the first thing we work on. The second thing we will be working, take it a step further, and we're going to look at the different modes that correspond to each of the chords. Then we're going to look at the chord tones / arpeggios for each chord. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to tie it all together by putting all those three things together. But then we're going to start to add notes that are not in the key. And these notes will give your soloing a lot more color and create tension, which sets us up for release, which is kind of what you want. So we're going to be looking at, chromatic lines, different rhythmic things that you can do that will, enhance your solos. I created a PDF for this lesson. Since there's a lot of content, it'll be a lot easier for you to follow the video if you pick up the PDF. I also created a jam track. So if you pick up the PDF, when you download that, the jam track will come for free as well. So I hope you enjoy this lesson on Autumn Leaves, and let's dig in. Okay, so now we're going to go through the head of the tune. I'm going to play through the first 8 bars real slow, break it down, and you have the tabs there. I'm going to go pretty quick because you have the tabs there, and the main focus of this lesson will be improv. So here we go, first 8 bars of the higher octave. Starts with the pickup. Okay, so the pickup is going to start on the second beat. So we have 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's the rhythm. The notes and the frets. We have the 9th fret, that's going to be my E. F sharp is going to be 7th fret. G is going to be 8th fret. C is going to be 8th fret. A minor 7, we're playing the 7th fret, 9th fret, 8th fret, and 8th fret. Take my pinky off, take my middle finger off, and then I'm left with the D7. And there's phrase number 1. Phrase number 2, same rhythmic integrity here. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and. So here I'm playing 7th fret D, 9th fret E, 7th fret F sharp, 7th fret B. Then I move into the G major 7, which is going to be 5, 7, 7, 7, C major 7, which is going to be 5, 5, 5, and 7. Next phrase, same rhythmic integrity. F sharp minor 7 to B7. So here I'm playing C, 5, D7, E5, A5. Then the F sharp minor 7 flat 5, 4, 5, 5, 5, B7, 4, 4, 4, 5. And then the last phrase. So here I'm playing the B string, which is 4th fret, playing the C sharp, which is going to be the 6th fret, D sharp, which is going to be the 4th fret, and then the G, which is going to be the 3rd fret. And this is actually a G6 chord. And then I go into the E minor 7 chord. But if you look here, play that note, basically the same notes. And so for this chord we have 5, 4, 5, 3, E minor 7, 2, 4, 3, 3. And that takes us through the first octave of Autumn Leaves. Now we're going to go to the lower octave. Now in the video I swing it a little bit, I change up the rhythm, and I do it like this. So the rhythm is a little bit different. If we were going to do it that way, it would sound like this. So here I'm playing 2nd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret, 5th fret. Now here I'm going to play the flat 7 and the minor 3 of an A minor. Then I'm going to the 3 and the flat 7 of a D7. So essentially I'm playing the guide tones here. Now here I'm playing 5th fret, 2nd fret, 4th fret, 4th fret. Then I'm playing the major 7 and the major 3rd of a G major 7. Then I'm putting my index finger over, so now I'm playing the 3rd and the major 7 of a C major 7. And then the next phrase. Here I'm playing 3rd fret, 5th fret, 2nd fret, 2nd fret. That's going to be C, D, E, A. Then here I'm going to play, it's the same thing, I'm playing the minor 3rd, and I'm playing the flat 7 of the F sharp minor 7 flat 5, to the major 3rd and the flat 7 of the B7. And then I'm going to do the next line that's going to bring us into the B section. So here I'm playing 4th fret on the D, 2nd fret on the A, 4th fret on the D, 2nd fret on the A, on the G, 5th fret on the D, and then 2nd fret on the D. And then here I'm going to play the octave twice. So this is going to bring us into the next section of the tune. And then here I'm hitting the octave, which is 2nd fret on the D, 5th fret on the B. And that would be the A section of the tune. Sounds something like this. Lower octave. Now we're gonna kick it. Now we're gonna move into the B section of the tune. I'm gonna play it and then break it down. So now for this first part, I'm gonna be playing 4th fret on the B, 5th fret, 7th fret on the B, 4th fret on the G. Come back to the 7th fret of the B. Now on the video, I basically play it like this. And then I'm actually playing this part of a B7 chord. I'm only playing this part of the chord, I'm implying it. So I'm playing the flat 7, major 3 and 5. So we have on the B string, 4, 5, 7, 4, into the B7. Now I'm going to play, here I'm playing 7th fret, 5th fret, 7th fret, pinky on the 8th fret. And then I'm going to strum this E minor 7, which is going to be, the notes would be, or the frets would be 7, 5, 7, and 8, and that'll be my E, my G, my D, and my G. And here I kind of pick through it like that. Now I'm going to play, here I'm playing, starting with the 8th fret of the B string, 7th fret, 8. Now I'm going to play A minor 7 here, which is barring the 5th fret, the D, the G, the B, and the high E. Then I'm going to move over to the D7, which is 4th fret, 5th fret, and 3rd fret. The melody's there. Melody's on the top. And then there's my D. Now I'm going to do octaves to hit the next part of the melody. And that's going to be, here I'm playing 7th fret and 10th fret on the G and the high E. 2 frets lower to the 8th fret to the 7th fret. And I mute that middle string, the B string. Then I'm going to move to the next section. Here I'm going to play on the high E string, 6, 7. When I get to the 8th fret, I'm going to play F sharp minor 7, flat 5. Play the high E string twice, the 8th fret. Play the 10th fret twice. Set up a B7 chord, playing to the 7th fret of the B string. Ring finger comes down to the 8th fret, the C note, to get that flat 9 in there, and that's the melody. So we have, this chord is 9th fret, 9th fret, 10th fret on the B, and 8th fret on the high E. It's my F sharp minor 7, flat 5. My B7 is 7, 9, 7, 8. There's my melody note on the 7th fret of the B string. Ring finger comes down to the 8th fret. Now I'm going to have the walk down. Here I have my E minor 7, and the melody's up here on the top. Now I'm going to move over to the, this is an A9 with a D sharp in the bass. So that's going to be, now these measures are going to be split. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to play a D minor 13, which is putting my pinky here, and the G 13. So that's going to sound like this. E minor 7, melodies on the top, A9 with the D sharp in the bass. So here this is going to be, the E minor 7 is 7, 9, 7, 8, 7. The A9 with the D sharp in the bass is going to be 6, 5, 6, 5, 7. D minor 13, same as the E minor 7, but with my pinky down on the 7th fret of the high E string, still holding that melody. Now I move to the G13, my melody is right there, it's the E note. 3, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to play a C major 7, but I'm adding this note here too, adding the 13 to it, or the 6. So here this would be 3, 2, 4, 5, and 5. Melody's right here. Now I'm hitting the 3rd fret of the high E, 2nd fret of the high E, back to the 3rd fret of the high E string, to the B note, 4th fret of the G, and then I'm going to slide from the 3rd fret to the 5th fret. So now if I play through that whole part real slow, it would sound like this. Now you don't have to play the chords, you could always just play the melody. Octaves. And then we're into the solos. Awesome. Now that you have the melody down, the next part of the lesson we're going to explore is improvising over Autumn Leaves. Now, Autumn Leaves, as I said before, basically breaks down into one key. We're in the key of E minor, but it starts with a 2-5-1 in G major, 2, 5, 1, which is going to be our A minor 7 chord, to our D7 chord, to our G major 7 chord, and then to our 4, which is our C major 7 chord. Then we're going to move up to 2-5-1 in E minor, which is going to be our F sharp minor 7 chord, to our B7 chord, to our E minor 7 chord. And those are the main progressions in the tune. So you have two polar opposites, a major 2-5-1 and a minor 2-5-1. Now, when playing over this tune, the first thing you're going to obviously want to do is get a handle on the basic major scales. So the two that I recommend you starting with would be this one. If you kept going, you could go to the A. And then the next one, this would be starting from the A. This is like a Dorian mode. If you kept going, you would go 7th fret and 8th fret, and those would be notes in the key. So there's only one sharp in the key of E minor. We have an F sharp, and that's it. So now here I played from the G note, okay, which is the relative major of E minor. So the E minor scale would start and end on E. Now, one of the first things that I'm going to want you to do is just get really comfortable with these scales and be able to know the notes that are in these scales. And that way, as you're improvising, when the chords are coming along, you can kind of target them, you can hit them, and that's going to be our first goal. So a great way to do that is by using octaves. So we're going to start by looking at the octaves for each of these different chords. So we start with an A minor 7, but we're just going to look at the notes. There's my A, there's my A, there's my A. That's an A, that's an A, that's an A. Then I'm going to go to my Ds. And then I'm going to go to my Gs. C. And then I'm going to go to my F sharp. My Bs. Then my Es. So octaves are a great way to get familiar with the different places that you're going to have to hit these notes. Once you can do that, then the next thing would be to try and follow the chord progression in time using octaves. So I'm going to do that right now. I just laid down the chords really sparse. I just played basically 1, 3, and 7. I'm going to start with octaves. Here we go. I'll put on my headphones or I won't hear it. Starting with the A. D. G. C. F sharp. B. To E. Okay, so now once we can do that, we're starting to get familiar with where the notes are in conjunction with the scales. Now I'm going to play that again, and I'm going to add to it. I'm going to add one note to each one of those octaves. So in other words, instead of just playing the octave, I'm going to play another note that might be in the scale. So now that you know the scales, just play a note that's close to that octave note. Here we go. Step 2. One more time. Okay, so now I'm starting to find the notes and I'm adding on to those notes. The next thing would be to play the backing track, play through the scales, improvise, and really just try and hit those notes. Start in one position. I would start with the position at the 3rd fret. So here, I'm going to just give you an example. Here we go. Where's my G? C. Oh my God, I gotta find my F sharp. Gotta find my B. Where's my E? One more time. Where's my A? There's my D. Gotta find my G. C. F sharp. B to the E. So that would be the 3rd step is playing, improvising, and then as you're improvising, try and target those root notes on the first beat of the measure in which the chord happens. And that will be a great way to start just identifying that. Now the next thing, I have a really cool exercise that basically takes you through each of the modes for each of these chords. So the first one, the name of the first mode is going to be my Ionian. Is going to be my Dorian mode. This corresponds to the 2 chord. Or if I was to look at this in the key of E minor, that would be my 4 chord in the key of E minor, 2 chord in the key of G. So this would be my Dorian mode. Same as a G major scale, starting and ending on the 2nd note of a G major scale. Now I'm going to do that one more time. Now I'm going to find my D. So that was ascending. Now I'm going to descend starting on the D. Now I'm going to ascend starting on the E. Starting on the G. Then I'm going to come back the other way starting on the C. Then I'm going to go to my F sharp. Then I'm going to go to my B. Then I'm going to go to my E, the last one. And then names of the notes. So I have my Dorian mode, which is A to A. Mixolydian, D to D. Ionian, G to G. My basic major scale. Lydian, C to C. Locrian, it's my F sharp to my F sharp. And then I'm going to have my B, which is going to be, now this would be technically Phrygian if I was playing in this key. Now, in Autumn Leaves, here we're playing a B7. So that's a secondary dominant chord. Essentially what that means is instead of playing a B minor 7, we're playing a B dominant 7. So there's one note there that doesn't jive, and that's that F sharp. So if I started from here, those would be the notes that make a B Mixolydian scale. So let's not worry about that right now. For right now, we're just going to stick to getting this down first. So that would be the Phrygian if I just played E minor scale starting and ending on B, or G major scale. And then now I'm going to be done with my Aeolian mode, which is going to be starting from my E. That's my key. It's a standard minor scale. So now I'm going to do that with the track moving by. Okay, so now I'm going to do that with the chords moving by in time. Sounds something like this. Do it again now from the top. So there, I went in reverse direction, starting on A, D, G, C, F sharp, B, E. So that would be utilizing the modes. Quick review. So we have Dorian, Mixolydian, Ionian, Lydian, Locrian, Phrygian, and then to Aeolian, which is my relative minor. Now, let's address the B7. Now, B7 is the 5 chord in the key of E. The way you find the key of the B7 is you go to the 4th. 1, 2, 3, 4. That tells you that it's in the key of E. So we have some notes that technically do not work in the key of G. Let's see what those notes are. Well, we have right there, we have a D sharp. So far, we're good. We have a G sharp. And we have a C sharp. And we have a D sharp. So we have 3 notes that don't really work. So the Mixolydian scale would look like this. 2nd fret, 4th fret, 1st fret, 2nd fret, 4th fret, 1st fret, 2nd fret, 4th fret. And that would be my 1st octave. 4th fret, 2nd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret, 2nd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret, 5th fret. And that would be my Mixolydian scale. Now, you could hit any of those notes when it hits the B7, but then you got to get back really quickly. So a couple of things that you could do would be just hit one of the notes and come back, because the chords are moving pretty quick. So when it gets to the B7, That would work really well. Here I'm playing the D sharp, and then I'm back. But you could do that with any of them. If you went here, and that would work really well too. So I think that the D sharp works really well because it's the third of the chord, and that's one of the main tonal centers of the chord, obviously. So hitting that D sharp and then coming back is a really good call when navigating over the B7. Okay, the next thing we're going to... Okay, so the next thing that we're going to talk about is chord tones, arpeggios. Now, for this, on the PDF, I have an exercise that takes you through. The PDF has an exercise of the modes and of the chord tones. So the chord tones, really quickly, if we were to look at the chord tones for each of these chords, for A minor 7, it would be 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7, 1. For D, it would be 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1. A little different there. We have a major third. G major 7, 1, major 3, 5, 7, 1. C major 7, same as the G. 1, 3, 5, major 7, 1. The F sharp minor 7, flat 5, 1, flat 3, flat 5, minor 7, 1, or flat 7, 1. And then I would have my B7, which would be 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7, 1. And then I'm back to my minor. 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7, 1. And those would be the chord tones for each of those. Now the numeric value of those just relates to the major scale. It's all in the PDF. If you look at the PDF, I outline each one of those arpeggios. And then the same way that we did the ascending and descending movements with the modes, we're going to do the same thing with the arpeggios. So ascending and descending. And then we have the E. So now we have our chord tones. And the chord tones really outline the chords in a way that every note is important. Whereas the modes, some of those other notes don't work as well. So I think the lion's share of your time, once you get down your scales and your modes, should be working on the chord tones and arpeggios. So now I'm going to give you an example. One more time, go higher now. So learning the arpeggios and memorizing not just the names of the notes, but the intervals and how the intervals work are going to go a really, really long way. I think that that's one of the most important things to work on is your chord tone / arpeggios. Okay, now the last thing that we're going to discuss is going to be putting this whole thing together and playing notes that don't necessarily work in the key, creating chromatic ideas, and some other harmonic devices you can use that work really well when you're improvising to give it a little bit more tension and a little bit more color. So to give you an example, there's so many vernacular terms to describe things, but I recommend once you get the basics down, instead of just thinking about your bebop scales and your tritone, would be to really try and use your ear and try and hear how these notes correspond to the key. Hear how the tension works, hear if you like it or if you don't like it. you're always a half step away from it working. So I'm going to give you an example now. Now, a chromatic line is when you take notes and you stream together a series of half steps, all half steps. This would be a chromatic line. Now, as you know, we just played through this tune. There's no F in the tune, but the F is going to work great. There you go. So I was throwing it in, and when I threw it in, I didn't dwell on it. Because if I dwell on it, things are not going to sound too good. But if you use it with the other notes, it's going to sound really good. Then let's try something. Let's try this. Let's try this note, this G sharp note. There we go. The G sharp note works fantastic. You're going to find that all the notes have different qualities, but don't be afraid to jump outside of the key and try some of these different notes. As long as you come back, you're gonna resolve your idea, and it's gonna sound really good. So that would be one of the things, is just experimenting with notes that are not in the key, creating chromatic lines, and that works really well. Now, there's a lot of different things harmonically that you can do. There's tritone substitution, which essentially means you go to the flat 5 of any dominant 7 chord. The flat 5 here would be my A flat, and you could throw in an A flat 7 flat 5 for a D7. Sound great, watch. Playing that instead of a D7. The same thing applies for improvising. So as you can see what I did there I'm playing an arpeggio for an A flat 7, and then I resolve back to the G. So there was some tension and then release. So the tritone is something that works really well. The other thing that works really well for this, because we have this 2-5 progression, this minor 2-5 progression, here we see this note right here, the D sharp. That note is not in there. Now, whenever I look at this 2-5 progression, the 1 chord is really supposed to be an E minor major chord. Okay, that being an E minor major chord means that the scale that you would use for this would be an E melodic minor. So if I was to play, now E melodic minor scale is just a major scale with a minor third. Here's my E major scale with a minor third. So essentially I'm just playing major scale with a minor third. Here's my minor third. And that would sound really good over the 2-5 section. So I'm going to play over this, and then when it gets to that, I'm going to use the tritone. And then when it gets to the 2-5 here, I'm going to use the melodic minor scale. There's my D sharp. Here's the. There it was right there. So when we get to that, have your E melodic minor scale. So that would be another thing that you can use that would really spice up your improvising when playing over autumn leaves, instead of just staying in the key. Hitting that melodic minor scale works really well, specifically over the 2-5 right there. Cool. So I hope a lot of this made sense, and I hope you enjoyed this lesson. This is one of the best standards ever to get started on when it comes to improvising over jazz, because like I said, it doesn't really modulate too much with the exception of those couple little notes in there. So thanks for visiting me at guitarreferenceguide.com, and I hope everybody has a great day.